It goes hard. Alright, we're on board in the i30N 2021 DCT i30N performance model. First thing I noticed in this car is the big 10.25-inch LCD screen. It's certainly a good improvement, and I like that. You know, it just gives you that modern feeling that the car has progressed in these creature comforts and this interaction here. So the same old familiar dash analog style gauges from the previous models, which I don't mind. I found the Kona N's digital dash a little bit less engaging. I don't know, maybe that's just the old school sort of in me that likes these older style analog dashes, but I do like the big screen. The seats in this model are really nicely bucketed. They're a good looking seat too, with the lights shine up and the way the stitching's in that vertical lines. I kind of like that. And I feel a little lower in the lowest setting relative to the steering wheel, so it's got a nice low cockpit feel. The driving in this car feels very much like the previous model. You've got the 3 magnetic damper settings, normal, sport and sport plus. When you're driving it in just the normal mode, it feels like pretty much just like a normal runabout hatch. It's got that slight bit more tension in the suspension and a bit more poise, like it's ready to do something over a normal everyday sedan or everyday hatchback. You hit the button on the left side here just to go into sport mode, and you can feel everything firm up. You can hear the exhaust get a little bit sharper, the throttle response gets a little bit better, the steering gets a little bit weightier, everything changes. But then the final evolution over on the checkered flag on the right hand side here, click that once and you go into N mode, which puts everything into sport plus mode. You can hear the note and the exhaust, everything tightens up. You got the downshift burbles when you back off, and the cracks and pops. It puts a smile on the dial, that's for sure. And the steering just gets that little bit more weighted. I really like what they've done in these cars in terms of the communication through the steering and the front end. It feels really, really quite precise and pointed. I'm going to do a U-turn here, get away from this truck so I can drive this car a little bit harder. I'll just use the handbrake, which is a normal functioning mechanical handbrake. I love that. No alarms, everything go off. Alright. N mode. The flat shifting with this DCT, we haven't talked about that yet, but just the way it just shifts through those gears, it gives that little burp in between gears. Very cool. This car, the magnetic suspension is quite tight on the Sport Plus setting. I know in my 2019 model it's got lowered springs, so by 15 mils, so it does change the feel of the car on the road. And I find that in the middle setting, in the sport setting, on track, particularly on bumpy roads, it's a little bit more forgiving, and I like running it in that. In this car, just when I'm mucking around in the hills, I like running it in the N mode. It does feel pretty rigid, and probably in a performance setting it might bounce you across the road a bit more and make the tyres skip, so it might not be the fastest option, but I like it for the fun factor. So I run it in the N mode for a bit of a laugh. And again, this differential, I was kind of excited. This electronically actuated mechanical diff that the N division has put into this car, mated to this 8-speed DCT. This thing, an A to B little track weapon. It's hard to beat it for the money. I mean, we're talking about 55 grand on the road for the premium. Probably a little less than that for your normal base model, but yeah, hard to beat for value for money. What we haven't talked about is the custom mode. So when you go into N setting here on the dash, on the button on the dash here, it puts everything into Sport Plus. In custom mode, you can tune on the dash, so another click of that checkered flag here, and we go into custom settings, and we can set everything from suspension, steering, electronic stability control, exhaust sound to ELSD, the transmission, engine tuning, to whatever you desire. So if you want a quieter exhaust note, but the hard suspension, you can do that. There's thousands of different combinations that you can run. For me, I just run everything flat out and just soften the suspension a little bit. Sometimes you might need to reduce the exhaust noise, which I've had that with the decibel limits at some tracks. So you can tune that out, which is a kind of handy little function to have. But right now we're just in N mode and we're going to go up in the hills and have a bit of a drive, enjoy this beautiful scenery. About these little cars, and what I wanted to touch on today with this car is, you know, we're not all able to go out and buy ourselves the dream car like a $300,000 Porsche or an expensive Club Sport BMW or something like that, and we'd all love to do that just to have a weekend fun car to drive. So sometimes we have to make compromises in life, and we all know about that, and this car is probably one of those perfect compromises where you can have a comfortable little daily hatchback that can deliver the kids to the school. You can pick up the groceries, you can take Granny for lunch, and the wife can drive it. Or let's not stereotype here. Someone that can't drive a manual can drive it, and then you can go out on the weekend, or you can go up on the hills and have a heap of fun. Like, not just a little bit of fun. And I was often skeptical about, you know, reading about these Hyundais before I owned one. I thought, you know, is it just some people that don't have a lot of car experience, you know, a bunch of hairdressers running around going, this is an awesome car? No, it's not. It's actually a really good car. And I've driven a fair few cars. I've worked in stunts, and I've driven on two wheels in Evo 10s and been paid to drive. So I'm reasonably qualified. I'm not saying I'm the most qualified by any means, but I'm reasonably qualified to tell you that this car's a fun car to drive. Alright, here we are on the border in the i30N, and as all of my pieces to camera go, someone's mowing the lawn in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, of course, making a racket. So go with me on this. Look at this beautiful place that we're in here. This border's been shut, this crossing here has been shut during COVID. Haven't been able to come up this road and cross into New South Wales or vice versa for a couple of years, thanks to some nutbag eating a bat, apparently, allegedly. That trail there goes all the way up onto Binnaburra, which is the mountain resorts on the back of the Gold Coast hinterland. So that's a pretty cool trail if you're ever into that. Maybe check out my other channel, Play Outside, for a bit more of that sort of action. But we're here driving this i30N. It's a DCT version. We've just been through the hills. I mean, what other car? There's not many cars around the 50 grand mark with the technology this car has, with the electronic diff, the 8-speed DCT, which has been tuned to be able to handle track use and be warranted for track use. The whole car is warranted for track use, so it kind of gives you that little warm and fuzzy feeling when you're going hard on the track or up a mountain, that you know that this car's been designed to do that at this price point. And it's a practical car too. You can take it to the shops, take the grandma out for lunch, and you can use the normal settings, and it drives pretty reasonably, comfortably like a normal car. Put it into custom or N mode or the sport mode, and You've got all the advantages of this, the performance parts that are bolted onto this car, from the e-diff to the magnetic suspension, the 2-litre turbocharged 206 kilowatt engine. The car really comes alive when you start picking those tunes up, and you can have a lot of fun. Bang for buck, like, you can't go past it. Comparing it to my manual version of this car, I think, you know, having the automatic in the city is just a bonus, and then it's fast on the open road and fast on the track because the shifts are so quick. There's no disadvantage there for sure. So yeah, could really recommend one of these cars. I think this will be my next evolution from my manual 29E model. I'll definitely be going to a DCT one and seeing what it can do on the track as well. Enjoy the view.